Hello everyone, it's me again, GW Fan the Softcore Brony, welcoming you back to Let's Play Philly Fantasy VI. So, everything you never wanted to know about the Veldt. Again. Basically a bonus video, and a lot of this information is going to be virtually the same as the one I did in my Pony Fantasy VI explanation, but there are going to be some important and even big differences if you want to stick around. Otherwise, well, feel free to skip this one if you hate these long explanations, because this is going to be the entire video. If need be, you can find the important stuff in the video description, including which abilities I have chosen to take at this point. In order to talk about the Veldt, you first need to talk about Scootaloo, because without her there would be no Veldt, or maybe vice versa. I don't know. In any case, for you FF6 buffs, as well as those who have only played Pony Fantasy, her Emulate ability is the new Rage command or Random command, and Idolize is the new Leap or Bounce. Truth be told, Scoot is something of a hybrid between Gao or Ga, or however you pronounce the original character's name, and Pinky from Pony Fantasy. But more on that in a moment. Otherwise, one of the things she shares with Pinky is the ability to equip weapons at all, because the original character could not. Note also, she can use claws, like Earth Ponies, which is unique to Scootaloo. Otherwise, she basically only uses Pegasi weapons like spears. This also means she can equip relics like Light Shoe and the Sturdy Shoe, though she doesn't care about that latter one. So it's time to go over these idolized abilities of Scoots, and just take note that for demonstrational purposes, I have turned on wait instead of active. So I'm going to get into a battle real quick. I guess some enemies that can use stop. Anyway, you'll notice that Scoot starts with a few random abilities by default, mostly from the first few areas of the game, except for like this one and this one right here. But yeah, none of these are especially useful or anything, so don't expect Scoot to be the king of fighters from the get-go. Here's the basis of how she works. Select one of these, such as this one, and Scoot will then use a special ability, or fight command, usually. And these, like that one actually right there does a poison magic attack otherwise, but more on that in a bit. But these abilities don't always have anything to do with the actual monster. You know, sometimes it can be a little random, I guess you could say. I blame the Pinkyverse. Don't ask what that is, because you won't get an answer. Now, Scoot does not, as you can see there, does not use a Berserker-style mode when executing any of her abilities, unlike the original Final Fantasy. But unlike Pony Fantasy, as you just witnessed, she does not just use the ability straight up. Similar to the original, which is where the hybrid part comes in, she has a 50-50 chance of using either an ability or, usually, the fight command, but this is not always the case, because sometimes she'll have a 50-50 chance of utilizing either a magic ability or a special physical ability, like this one here. Or, in much more rare cases, she'll sometimes use two magical abilities, though I only have a few I can even think of off the top of my head. Now, one of the big differences between Philly and both the original and Pony Fantasy is that a lot of these abilities have changed from what we knew before. Those lists on GameFAQs are not necessarily going to help this time, but more on specific abilities a little later. But first, some generalizations about abilities. As many of you FF6 buffs know, when you execute an ability, Scoot also inherits that particular monster's elemental properties. For example, when you use Were-Rat, you will gain a weakness to fire, but you will also be able to absorb the poison element. Now, this is where things are very much like Pinky from Pony Fantasy, because, unlike the original game, again, where you couldn't switch abilities, you can in this mod. What happens if I switch from Were-Rat to Rhinotaur, which only absorbs lightning? Do I change attributes? Well, yes and no. In actuality, you'll gain both elemental attributes. In this case, a weakness to fire, but the ability to absorb both poison and lightning. But wait again! What if I use this ability, Crystal Armor, which has a weakness to lightning? Unfortunately, I can't demonstrate it exactly unless I go out of my way to find one of those annoying shamans from before. But awesomely, any elemental nullification or absorption brought on by an ability or equipped piece of armor or relic will supersede any weaknesses that would have been brought about by any given ability, regardless if it is used before or after. So, even though I've now used Crystal Armor, I still retain Rhinotaur's lightning absorption. Or if I use Crystal Armor first, I can nullify its weakness to lightning by following up with Rhinotaur or any other ability that absorbs or nullifies abilities. Now, when you put all this together, as long as you have a lot of abilities, or a few really nice abilities in general, Scootaloo can easily become a magic tank right from the start, absorbing or nullifying any magic or status effects that come her way. Crystal Armor, for example, is immune to status effects like Poison, Dragon, Discorded, and even Instant Death. And these all stack up on Scoot too. We can also inherit buffs that can stack as well. You probably noticed that Scoot has been glowing yellow since I used Crystal Armor. That's because Crystal Armor has an inherent safe ability which passed on to Scoot. Other abilities, of course, have traits of this sort, but, well, no other really good examples here, although Brawler does have Berserk, which means it actually acts like the original game, interestingly enough, but this is the useless ability anyway. Especially in this game, since it has two physical abilities in this case. Yeah, keep in mind also that this goes for negative effects too. For example, the Whisper, which, well, is supposed to have inherent seizure, but it appears to have been changed to poison in this mod, at least when you use it. Which will make Scoot take damage every now and then, of course, though you can block negative effects like that with relics or other abilities that are naturally immune, such as the Crystal Armor there. And also, regarding Whisper and certain other abilities, you may or may not find the Undead status to be a benefit. You can't undo the Undead status until the battle is over, unlike status effects you could simply heal. If you do decide to use Undead, which will make instant death attacks heal you, but curative magic and items hurt you, you might want to stock up on those muffins that I bought in town earlier, because it's one of the few ways you can actually heal an Undead character, crazy enough. Well, that's a lot right there, and I still have a lot to go before I get into how to learn new abilities with Scoot, so how about I start going over how the Veldt itself works. As you can see, I'm currently in a battle with that well, the Sand Ray and the two Areneids back there, which I'd like to kind of start the battle over real quick. So, now in truth, you can fight nearly every random encounter in the game here on the Veldt, so long as you have encountered it before. How does this work exactly? Well, fights in the Veldt are divided into what are referred to as packs. Each pack contains 8 possible predetermined monster formations. What I mean by monster formations is like what we are looking at now, the 1 Sand Ray and 2 Areneid. So long as you have seen a battle formation and didn't get game over, you can see that same formation here on the Veldt. Now, there are a total of 64 packs on the Veldt, although none of these packs are empty for some reason and serve no real purpose. And not all packs are filled with 8 possible formations either. There are even a few that only have 1 possibility. Now, packs are numbered from 1 to 64 and will always go in order so long as there is at least 1 monster formation to fill that pack. If you have not met any monster formations in that particular pack, then the Veldt will skip on to the next available pack. Simple, really. So, how does this information help you? If you know the packs, of which I'm posting where to find a listing of them all all, as well as relevant information on the Veldt on screen now and in the video description. If you know the packs, then you determine what you'll be fighting next. For example, these guys here, they are in pack 2. Next, run away, guys, come on. Next is pack 3, which contains 8 possible monster formations, though I haven't met some of them, I think. So the game will randomly choose one of these possible monster formations. With this information, I can predict that in the next encounter, I may fight 2 Tuskers, or a Mammoth and a Lobo, or which I believe is, that's the, what is it, the Timberwolves in this game. I could fight 3 Crawlies, or a Rhinotaur and 2 Rhodox, and also some other formations you see here with Rhinotaurs, Rhodoxes, and, well, these are not the Grease Monks, but those little griffin enemies from around Ponyville. So, seeing what I get here... Ah! Rhinotaur and 2 Rhodox, and a freaking pincer attack! Nice, yeah, all the same. So, with that little demonstration and explanation out of the way, let's get on to how to learn new abilities with Scootaloo. As Spike explained in the last video, Scoot can learn new abilities only here on the Veldt. Simply select Idolize, and Scoot will jump on the enemies and the battle will automatically end. Now when she comes back, she will have learned the abilities of all the monsters in that battle formation, even if he killed some or if they have not appeared in battle yet. Now, what do I mean by that last part? Well, remember that monster in the box, the Telstar, that enemy we got the reinforced bit from? You may remember that it called in some soldiers to back it up. If Scoot idolizes on that formation, even if Telstar has not called in the soldiers, Scoot will still learn the soldier abilities. So anyway, now Scoot is out of the party, and she has taken all of her equipment with her. But fear not! We'll just have to find her again the exact same way we recruited her, minus feeding her a muffin, though. We get in a battle here in, oh wow, pack 4, and actually, is this what she can come back in? I'm not actually sure. Yeah, and after we win, Scoot has a 5 in 8 chance of showing up, though what I'm saying about I'm not sure is keep in mind she will not appear, well, first of all, if you're in a back attack or a pincer attack or side attack, and only standard battles like this one. But there are also a total of 48 battle formations that Scoot simply cannot return in no matter what, because technically Scoot takes up the 6th slot in any given battle formation. There she is. She can't come back in this one. So in some formations, if a monster happens to take up that slot, then Scoot can't occupy it. You can try to hit her real quick if you don't want her to come back, but it's mean. Now that Scoot is back in the party, she will automatically go to the front row, first of all, and she will have learned the abilities of the monsters that not only that she jumped on, but also the ones that she returned with. So, let's see. Where are those other ones? Oh, yeah, there's one. Yeah, ones like that. Keeping in mind, of course, she cannot learn, she will not learn any abilities of monsters that you meet in between her idolizing and returning. So if she did not return in that battle and then she returned in the next battle, I would not have learned this particular ability right here. So we have some new abilities, but the question is, are they worth it? And how many abilities can she learn? 255! Oh yes, 255. Although technically 3 of them, well, formerly at least, are monsters that cannot appear on the Veldt, one of which was Trixie. Although one of those 3 monsters has been restored to this mod, I've actually just been informed today by a comment. And, but... yeah, otherwise, yeah, there's really only 253 abilities because of that, and frankly, a good 90% of them are either crap or just unnecessary. By the way, did you know that 80% of statistics are made up on the spot? I'll let that sink in a moment, and you can take that however you want. So anyway, even though I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist, there is no way I'm going to try to get all 253 abilities. In fact, it's not even plausible to obtain that many abilities. It is best to acquire as few abilities as possible so that you're not sifting through an enormous list just to find the few good abilities you were looking for. Consequently, you may want to run from most battles whenever Scootaloo is away and only fight when Scoot can return for either an ability you want or an ability you already have, which I personally refer to as a safe battle. Because you don't want to collect any unnecessary battles you'll never use, or you don't want to collect any unnecessary abilities you'll never use. Keep in mind that you can't run away from every battle either. If you couldn't run away from the battle originally, whether due to story or what have you, then you can't run away here. So, which of the 252 abilities are worth acquiring? Well, I have not looked at every last one of them, but I have sifted through about 110 of them, and I picked out the abilities that I feel are the most useful at the earliest possible time that I am aware of that you can acquire them. If any of you know different, then by all means, tell me about it. Now, what I have chosen for this particular trip to the Veldt is listed on screen right now. Note that you can only meet the Primordite if you have already completed Flash's quest, or rather, you meet it on Flash's quest. Otherwise, the Areneid is a creature you meet outside Canterlot in the deserts. But wait, you might ask! What about Stray Cat, or Marshall, or Serpius that I just picked up, or Commander/Darkwind, which is called Dark Crow in this one, and I think the Commander's been renamed something too, but I don't care, because they're all a little different now. Stray Cat still teaches you Cat Scratch, but it's been nerfed a lot, and only lets you do about 2.5 times normal fight damage, way down from 4 times. Don't worry though, there are other abilities we can get later that are way, way stronger than that. We're talking above 4 times strength. Holy cow. As for the other abilities listed, Marshall, which has been renamed to Guard Captain in this mod, does not do Wind Slash anymore. It just does an ability called Net, which will do a small amount of damage, and cast Slow, which is nowhere near as abusive as it is in Final Fantasy IV, so I don't care. I currently have not found an ability that does Wind Slash, or its better version known as Gust or Typhoon either, which actually was changed as of this version update, unfortunately. Same with Commander, which was also renamed in this mod to, I don't even remember, but it does something other than the break spell, which actually has been removed from this game for the most part, but I think it has, I don't know, some physical skill that does like 1.5 times normal damage or something useless. Same with the Dark Crow. Serpius is still sort of useful. It is not able to cast Haste 2 anymore, but it can use Beak, which is a single target Petrify ability, though I don't find that to be especially necessary. I mean, it could be. It's actually, I mean, it's useful, like, kind of in the immediate future, sort of. Well, yeah, sort of, but I'll be discussing that in a bit. By the way, while you are searching for abilities, you may want to defeat the Telstar at least once more before you leave, because every time you do, you will win another reinforced bit. I know there are many out there who despise Veldt hunting. It can take a long time. On this first trip, you will probably spend anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes or so looking for the abilities I just described, though it is shorter than the list I had for Pony Fantasy. Don't worry though, there are some tricks that I'll tell you about a bit later that will actually allow you to manipulate the Veldt and find what you want with minimal fuss. But first, time to hunt. Fortunately for me, I prepared ahead of time and I picked up all the abilities I wanted in well, about 20 minutes. Also, on a side note, it took me an additional 40 minutes to grind out the money I wanted, but more on that next video. So, anyway, let's take a little time to go over some of these abilities, shall we? Actually, am I on weight battle? I don't think I am. But anyway, I've gotten the abilities I wanted. First, discussing the almighty Rhodox, which is back in my list once again. Or actually, maybe no, I'm not. I'm already prepared to go on. Rhodox here now does 2 abilities, one special physical ability, and of course, it's good old Pitfall, which I really like. Didn't work on this guy. This is an instant death ability right there. Kind of a unique one. It does not work on enemies that are floating or otherwise flying. It can miss, as you just saw, but normally it ejects enemies out of the bat. Well, not really ejects them, but instantly kills them like that. And this is significant in this particular way because it's unlike the other death spells, which will heal undead enemies, it can actually kill undead enemies because there is no undead enemy in the game that is immune to instant death due to the fact that it's normally healed by it, you know, technically. So that's what I like that for. Otherwise, it has an ability called Tail Whack, which does, you know, a decent 2 times normal damage. So, you know, good enough right there. And let's see. Next ability that I want to talk about is the old Pterodon there. This is well, actually the same as it was in the original. It uses Fireball, multi-target, fire elemental spell, guaranteed multi-target. That particular enemy has really, really low magic defense. I don't think it was buffed at all. That's why that did so much damage. Because normally that's a little weaker than Fire 2, that ability right there. But, yeah, otherwise it just does regular fight damage. I like it for the automatic multi-target, unlike the Bomb here, which does do a stronger Blaze. This is basically a slightly stronger Fire 2 spell. In this particular case, yeah, see, it's quite a bit stronger than the other one. But in this case, actually, both spells suffer from split damage, meaning that they do roughly half when it's split between more than one enemy. But in the case of Blaze, in addition to having a 50-50 chance of either selecting Blaze or the fight command, Scootaloo will additionally have a 50-50 chance of single targeting or multi-targeting. And when she single targets, it's of course against a random monster in the battle. So it's good for damage. I like the other one for the multi-targeting, though, especially for the next area we're going to be going to, and, well, actually, a couple areas until I get a better ability. Otherwise, I found the Areneid ability. It's the one I happened to come across. It does the ability, well, Numb in this case, or Numb Blade in the case of the other guy. This is the stop spell. That's useful in a few instances. This guy, of course, is susceptible to stop, so that's good. It also otherwise just does basic fight command, nothing huge there. There is an ability that actually comes with the other guy, Primordite, the Gold Bear. It does, it chooses between the fight command and I think it was Gouge, which does 2.5 times normal damage, same as Stray Cat. So I could have picked that up. It's kind of just a just because ability, but whatever. I can go without it. I don't need too many abilities. Though you might be wondering why the heck did I pick Leafer as a suggestible ability. This is purely because of a kind of annoying boss fight later on, because this is not a terribly interesting ability in its own right. This is, I believe, like 1.5 times normal damage right there, if I'm not mistaken. The only reason I chose Leafer is because, show of hands, people, how many people knew that Leafer absorbs the ice element and is literally one of, I think, like, only 5 random encounter monsters in the entire game that have any kind of protection from ice? Yeah, it's literally the only ability we can get right now that has ice, and every other one that protects against ice is a rare encounter of some sort or way late game, so it can be useful for the time being. So, with all that said, those are, well, the abilities I've chosen for now. Unfortunately, with the Cat Scratch nerf, and I know for a fact you can't get any ability with Wind Slash at this particular point in the game. There really isn't any particular ability that is an end-all skill that you can at least pick up on this particular trip, but there are some potential end-alls you can pick up, well, the next time you come here, if you choose. So, anyway, you might think Veldt hunting is a pain, but I'm now going to tell you one of 2 tricks that can make it a little less painful. First, since we are using an emulator, you will probably want to, save state. Let's see what the next fight is going to be. Rhodox. Okay. Nothing interesting with those guys. Now that I've reloaded my save state, I want to save the game the normal way. Oh, Scoot has float because bomb comes with float. That actually could be very useful in its own right in a future area. But now what we want to do is go up here, reset the game, and just go through the intro real quick. Oh yeah, new music here on this screen. Nice. And load up our save. And now, different enemies! Basically, can we run away from the... Oh yeah, these are from Flash's one, that's right. So this is because whenever you reset like that, the game adds 13 to whatever number pack you were on. So we just jumped up 13 packs. Though every once in a while this doesn't seem to work that way, and it will only jump like 1 pack or some weirdly high number of packs. And I mean, I've seen this happen after I have, like, you know, my packs practically full and all that. I don't know what's up with that. It's just randomness, but yeah, right now it's not really that useful because with Flash and Twice quests, there's only around 18 packs anyway, and even less without their quests. Now, there is a second trick that quite literally lets you manipulate which monster formations you fight in a given pack, but I can't do that right now because it requires that we leave the Veldt. And to do that now, I have to continue the story, which means I won't be able to come back to the Veldt for a while anyway. So I'm going to save that explanation for my second trip. Well, actually, not even my second trip, a much later trip to the Veldt. When it's a little easier to leave without, well, going through what would otherwise be the way we're going to leave through the story here. So that pretty much wraps up the Veldt. In truth, whether you decide to power up Scoot or not is purely up to you, but keep in mind that she is going to continue to be one of the most powerful party members from here on out, so long as you keep on acquiring good abilities for her. And of course, I'll tell you which abilities you might want to pick up as we find them. Well, the ones that I know of for certain that, in my opinion, are good, though I won't be explaining them in so much detail, of course. And that, my friends, is everything you never wanted to know about the Veldt! Again! Did you watch it all the way through? Congratulate yourself or something if you did. Give yourself a cookie. Well, anyway, this is the only huge explanation that I'm, well, planning on doing anyway. Any others I will try to keep shorter. Otherwise, it's back to the main quest next time on Let's Play Philly Fantasy 6. Arrivederci. Of course you don't get into a battle right away, Luna. Dang. Oh, there's that guy. Yeah, there's the other one that you could get instead of the Areneid there. Anyway.